Okay, so this video is on AI and how it will not cause unemployment. So, just to zoom out and discuss historical perspectives, there's something in economics called creative destruction. It's about how one industry rises up and supplants another industry. An example is how the automobile industry supplanted the horse and buggy industry, put everyone in that industry out of work, killed the industry, but look what it did. Look what it created. Look at all the jobs it created. So many more than were in the horse and buggy industry. So another example is in the early 2000s when outsourcing became a big thing. It was said that all of our jobs will be shipped over to third world countries and will be very unemployed in the West. Well, it didn't happen. So, always in these kinds of situations, people predict that there will be unemployment from new technology. There never is. There won't be with AI. The short reason why there won't be with AI, well, yeah, no, I'll go ahead and say it. The short reason why there won't be with AI is because there is always a demand for labor. There is always more work to be done than there are people to do it. Never mind that we have unemployment. That's not because there's not work to be done. It's because wage rates are set artificially high, mainly by minimum wage laws and by union legislation that restricts the number of workers and that artificially raises wages such that workers are unprofitable to hire. Think about it logically. There is tons of work to be done. Whatever we're making, we could make twice as much of it if we could. Whatever we're going to make later this year, next decade, we could make right now. If only we had enough capital and labor. So, those are the two things that are always scarce: capital and labor. And so, where AI will cause unemployment in one area, people can be redistributed from those areas to other areas where AI will not cause unemployment or cause as much. First, let me just back up a second and take the case. It's been said for years that there's been a concern that technology would put everyone out of work. Let's suppose everything was automated. Well, in general, that's not bad. If we have everything automated and robots can pump out 20, 100, 1,000 times more per hour than we're currently doing, well, we can just let everything be made for us automatically with robots for free. I mean, the price would be so low, um, you really wouldn't need to work. But I mean, never mind the need to work. The point is, if you had automation and everything's just being made automatically, you don't need workers to work. But we're hundreds of years away from that at the least. So back to current reality. Let's take an extreme case. Let's say there are two industries in our world or in our nation. We are making cars and we're making homes. There's the automobile industry and the home construction industry. Let's say in the automotive industry, where it's already largely automated, let's say AI takes over such that there are no workers needed. All of the auto workers get laid off. What happens to those workers? Well, they can be absorbed in the home construction industry. They, we always need more homes. Um, We could have, uh, we don't have enough homes as it is. Everyone would like a larger home. We could add rooms to homes. We could add garages to homes. We could add sheds out back. We could have second, third, fourth homes in different places. The more homes we make, the lower the price is for each home. Our need for homes is virtually insatiable. Uh, Not to mention that if we bring in other things like clothes and medicines and all, there are plenty of things to make. So this other industry, home building, could absorb all the workers from the auto industry since we need more homes. Now, you might say this is a in the weeds technicality, but since people tend to do that, I want to address it. So, what about the argument that, well, there's no more money to be spent in um, in the home building sector? Well, with AI pumping out many more things, that's going to lower the price of many things across the economy. In addition, if people out of work are willing to work for, say, half the price, well, then the auto industry might then be able to hire, wages might fall in the auto industry, which, by the way, doesn't matter because remember, more things are being pumped out by AI that's lowering the price. So then we would have, with wages at half the price, we would have twice as many employed in the auto industry, making on average twice as much, or let's say two-thirds as much, depending on how much can be made with the ratio of workers to machinery. But the point is, wages and prices will adjust, and output will be commensurate. Um, I'm not going to go into the details here, but let me just say as a blanket statement, whatever wage reductions come that are needed to get more people employed, that will correspond with an output increase that lowers prices by a comparable amount. If you want a very detailed analysis and explanation of this assertion, see the link below. I have a very detailed paper by Professor George Reisman, who analyzed the outsourcing epidemic in the early 2000s and explained that this exact thing I'm referring to, that whatever lower wages would take place, you from outsourcing, you would have a commensurate reduction in prices that would offset it. Remember, what counts is not your wage per se, but your wage relative to the prices that you're paying. So I'll let you look at that paper instead of my trying to recreate that. But again, as a blanket statement, if wages have to be reduced to absorb workers in another industry, in general in the economy, prices will be reduced such that the real wages will stay the same or even be greater. So, so workers will still have jobs in other industries besides the one they started in. So there might be a temporary reduction in employment, but it won't last long. Just as was the case when horse and buggies were replaced by the automobile and when outsourcing took place in the early 2000s and is still currently happening. There is always work for people to do, and there is always the need for laborers. So in the worst case scenario, let's say you and I get unemployed from our job and we have to go into areas where AI cannot easily replace workers, such as, again, home building. Let's say I have to get a job as a plumber. You have to get a job as an electrician, which, by the way, these days are paying nice money. Okay, that's fine. Let's say we even work for half the price. Fine. because, as I just indicated, with all the AI, the increase in technology and production and output will be such that we're creating way more per capita per hour than we are now. So our wages might fall by half, but prices might fall by 2/3, at least half. And that's in real terms. Forget inflation. Inflation's a monetary phenomenon. I'm talking the amount of labor hours you have to work and how much you're paid relative to the number of things you buy, or your wage cost per hour compared to the cost of the things you're buying. Um, a common misperception is the idea that companies will, let's say they can replace half of their employees with AI. So they get rid of half the workforce. Will they just keep that income statement half full, or to the extent that it was filled by workers? In other words, if they had 100 workers, they laid off half, do you think they'll just save that money on the income statement and have, instead of the 10% profits they had, they'll now have 30% profits? No. It's not the rate of profit that is what counts. If you're that company and you are just able to save the cost of half of your workforce, would you leave that amount of capital, that amount of financial purchasing power just sitting there? No, you wouldn't. You would employ people in other areas, administrative, marketing, sales, AI technology, maintenance, and whatever area you would still have people working. You would hire more of those people. Have a phone ringing. I'm going to pause it. Okay, hopefully the phone has stopped ringing. You would hire more people in whatever area you could to gain more in sales revenues. You would want to be making, it's not the high rate of profit that you're left with that helps you. If you invest another dollar and you can get 70% profit from that dollar, you're going to keep investing dollars to get those profits. The more you sell, the more money you make, the more of a cut or profit you get for each unit that you sell. So companies want to sell as many units as possible. That's why their income statements are always equaling the total amount of money that they're spending, or they're getting in revenues, minus the rate of profit. They have to leave room for the rate of profit as returns to shareholders. But except for that slice, which is 7% on average, they're filling up their income statement. They're spending as much as they can to make additional sales, because for each unit of sale they make, unit of sale, each dollar of sale, each sale they make, they get a profit from that. So they're going to make as many units of sales, I guess that is right, as possible. So it's not the rate of profit per se that counts, it's how many units are they selling. They're going to sell as many as they can. For that, they're going to fill up all of the possible spending they can on their income statement, whether it's through technology/AI, or technology to support AI, or labor to support the technology and labor to support the AI. They're going to keep spending as much as possible. And a lot of that will involve hiring people. So the same companies who are laying people off will probably hire other people to do other jobs and serve other functions. And then again, even if they don't, or to the extent that they don't, other companies making things that can't be replaced with AI easily, or that can't replace workers with AI easily, will absorb those workers in those fields and will be making more of those things. So, in our example of cars and homes, we'll be making way many more cars through AI, and then we'll be making way many more homes from twice as many workers in that industry. And so the total output will be greater, and the total cost per unit will be that much less. So in the end, we will come out ahead, and there will be plenty of work, as always, for people to do, and their wages relative to the cost of the things they buy will be just as high or higher. So that is the explanation for why AI will not throw us all out of work. Thank you.